Welcome on into the Kiwi Football Fix. Yeah, that's right, we're back for 2021, and joining me for the first edition, All Whites defender Nikko Boxall. We'll get to him soon enough, but look, here he is, the Burj Khalifa, Michael Burgess, outstanding football journalist. Thanks so much for your time this year, mate. I'm so glad to see you.
Hey, it's good to be here and welcome to 2021, and I see you're welcoming in with some kind of slightly Hawaiian motif shirt.
Yep.
It sort of spells summer, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
Look you're trying to bring?
Yeah, just sunshine all year round. You know, even in the depths of winter, I'll be wearing this. Look, enough about my T-shirt. We need to talk about some serious football issues involving New Zealanders. That's what we do here on the Kiwi Football Fix. First point of discussion. Alex Rufer, a red card for the Knicks against Macarthur FC. What did you think? Because personally, I thought he and the Phoenix should be ripped off by the VAR and the referee on field. What about you?
I think one thing you'd say is these kind of decisions always seems to happen to the Phoenix once or twice a year. It's happened early and you hope it doesn't happen again. I mean, it was just quite bizarre, but there are a few symptoms that play into it. I think one of the things is
it's a horrible challenge from the Macarthur player.
But that was the point. It was a challenge that it was an absolute shocker from him.
What's Rufer done? He's done absolutely nothing. Okay, maybe his foot contacted the player, but he's got his eyes closed, Burge. He doesn't know what's going on. And Jean Rowe, in 8, he's made an absolute meal of any kind of contact that he felt.
He's gone down like one of those 10-year-old South American players you see that are practicing the fouls like they're heroes. But the issue here is VAR, and the officials are so trigger happy because they're paranoid about missing something. So the guy in the bunker was like, oh, that might have been something, because they don't want to be hounded by the media and by the fans afterwards. So he's like, whereas logically he'd be thinking, nothing there. The referee on the field just said play on and yellow card, but he had to push the button. And then the referee comes over and he thinks, well, my colleagues pushed the button, so
it's for a reason.
I've probably got to find something.
Exactly.
So this is the whole teething issue with the technology, but we're in the second season. As I said, I think last time, let's hope that they work this out and we don't have any more of these, or not too many more of these, because it just ruins the game in so many ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, I feel like you and I can agree on that point. It wasn't a red card. It shouldn't have been a red card. However, the A-League, they apologise for it. They say it probably wasn't a red card. Yet Alex Rufer still misses the next game. He doesn't play against Newcastle Jets on January 24. Can you explain this to me?
Not really, because it's completely bizarre, but basically the A-League is saying, which is true under their regulations, they can't just wipe it. You know, he's been given the punishment on the field, so there has to be some kind of sanction for it off the field. Thankfully, his conduct was downgraded in terms of, initially it was something like violent conduct. I mean, are you serious? And it just got downgraded to something else, so he's only serving the 1 week. And you saw the Phoenix reaction. They was kind of pleasantly surprised that actually this did happen, that it was just 1 week, because it could have been worse.
Yeah. The impact that it had on the game, because at the time it was on the hour mark, there you go, 60 minutes and 20 odd seconds. Phoenix were bossing this one, and you know they were about to bag themselves 3 points for the first time this season in game 2. What kind of impact did it have? It allowed Macarthur FC back into the contest to steal a point, didn't it?
Well, that's the frustrating thing of all of it. That's what will really be annoying the Phoenix players, the coach, etc., is that they were playing well, they were on top, and as we know, red cards always change games, and it came at a perfect time for Macarthur. What was it, I think 10 minutes into the second half, so they had 30 minutes to launch at home, first game at home, and really go for it, and they got a goal and got back into it. But yeah, it was just a massive turning point and so unnecessary.
Yeah, all right, so it ends 1-1 with Macarthur FC, and they've got 1 point from the first 2 games. Might be hard to sort of assess how the Knicks are doing 2 games into a very disjointed season, but can you do it? Can you tell me what you think of what you've seen in the first 2 games? A loss to Sydney FC and now a draw.
They're going okay. They're going okay. I mean, Sydney FC scored 2 incredible goals to beat them. That they won't get goals like that again this season. So that probably should have been a draw. And then Stefan Marinovic against Macarthur concedes a goal at his near post, which he probably won't do that again this season. But I saw enough to be encouraged that they're on the right track. We've got to remember as well, they're missing Stephen Taylor, who was incredibly important last year.
Libby Kikachi.
And I'm just a bit wary about De Villa being captain. I always wonder about someone who's... Oh, I just think he's got so much on his plate. You know, he's the main playmaker. He scored the most goals last year, all the assists. He's the creative influence. He's the pride of Mexico. You know, he's everything. So you just... Ufuk Tally's a very smart guy, so he would have done it for the right reasons, but you just hope that De Villa wanted to be captain, and you hope that it makes him play better rather than be something that's sort of another burden, because it's a big load.
Okay, so who's the better option to be captain in your mind?
Well, there weren't too many other options, I imagine.
The sent-off Alex Rufer? Well, he's not going to be captain
He was
next
vice
game,
captain.
is he?
He was vice captain. There's senior guys like Luke De Vere as well. But obviously they decided, hey, De Vere is the best option. That's fine, and he'll grow into the role. But I just always wonder when you have a guy that is obviously the key man as well, being the captain. But we've seen a lot of guys that play better with the responsibility.
And you don't think that's going to happen with him?
No, I think it quite clearly could. I just was a bit wary when I saw the announcement.
Okay. This season, I'm glad that it's gotten underway, no doubt about that. But I feel like it's really difficult to form an attachment to the competition when so many games are being postponed due to COVID. And I mean, we haven't even seen Perth Glory play a game yet. Macarthur FC have already played 3. Perth, they haven't even kicked a ball in anger yet. How are you able to sort of decipher what's going on with the different postponements and when we might see the Phoenix next after the Newcastle Jets game on the 24th?
I'm struggling to keep track of it like you. Like there's just fixtures all over the place. Perth are sitting in Perth. They might as well be playing esports because they can't get a game on the field. But it will make it very tricky, both for the teams that get stuck with a lot of games in hand, but also for teams that play a lot of games, and then like happened to the Phoenix last season, they sort of finished their season, and then there were other teams that were catching up for the next 2 weeks, and so the Phoenix had that period where they had a fortnight of not doing much. So it doesn't really work for anyone, but what's the answer? You know, there's no other way around it, because unfortunately COVID is still happening across the Tasman.
Yeah, and it's not just the A-League that it's affecting. The W League, the women's competition in Australia is... Well, it's under the same microscope, isn't it? We've got a number of New Zealanders in there. You've been keeping a close eye on the involvement of those New Zealand women?
Well, it was just great to see. I think it's the most Kiwi women in that competition since 2013. Great to see them going so well. Particularly interested to see how Olivia Chance does. I thought she was probably the best player at the Women's World Cup for the Football Ferns last year, so she's got a lot to, just so much ability. And Annalie Longo. I can't believe she's still going. She scored for Melbourne victory again. She's only 29. I feel like she's been around since you and I were.
She should be 49.
Both really young. You know, she made her Ferns debut in 2006 as a 15-year-old. It's just
incredible.
Crazy, but she's still at the top of her game. So really looking forward to seeing what she does.
Yep. Keep ploughing on those Kiwi girls in Australia. All right, we will talk about the ISPS Hunter Premiership shortly. We'll also talk about the COVID situation impacting European football, which that's a pretty decent segue to bring in our next guest. Bring in the New Zealand defender, Nikko Boxall. Yeah, forget about family ties. We want to talk about you and why you're here in New Zealand at the moment. Shouldn't you be playing football somewhere in Europe?
I should be, but you know, this day and age, with what's going on, just needed a bit more family time. So thought I'd stick around and spend some time with my brother, keep him chasing me, and yeah.
Oh, is that the way it goes? Because whenever I talk to Michael, he always says that he's the fastest man in football. So you're faster than Michael Boxall.
Gee, that's something.
That is a massive claim. I need to see this with my own eyes.
we definitely push each other. So.
What's it like being back in the country after quite a length of time away? You've obviously plied your trade in Finland, Denmark, you've had time in Germany. What's it like coming back home?
I mean, I'm lucky enough that I've come home pretty much every Christmas. So now it's the same. It's kind of part of the routine now. But yeah, after last year, you know, it's very special to come home and yeah, just spend time with family and recharge the batteries, get some sun.
Yeah, and your tan's looking phenomenal. It
Thank
must
you.
be
I've done
said.
some work.
You're looking a lot darker than Michael Burgess. You're looking a lot darker than me as well. And
I've been doing the work.
I've been putting in about 3 or 4 weeks worth of sun tanning.
Yeah, it's the Samoan genes.
Yeah, well, I don't have that. I don't have that.
See, that's where, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about 2020, Nikko, and how it was juggling football in Europe in the COVID environment.
Yeah, I mean, I was in Denmark when we first went into a lockdown. I think we'd played 1-2 games, and then the season was halted. And yeah, then 2 months of just running, training by myself. Wasn't terrible. Like, I just made the most of it. Just had to look at it as time and time to improve, and that's what I felt I did. And yeah, definitely strange. Definitely never experienced anything like that, and hope I don't have to again. But yeah, then once it went back, we had not many fans. We finished the season in Denmark. I think maybe a couple months delayed, and then yeah, my contract was up, and I was kind of already looking elsewhere in that time. But yeah, then I've been in Finland for the last 3 months of the year, and just finished the season there, enjoying playing again. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel the impact too much of the year. I kind of just kept it simple in my head, and just every day was a chance to improve and keep doing what I love. So,
Do you like keeping to yourself at times?
Over the years,
did you sort of like flourish in that environment where it's just you and your own thoughts?
Yeah, no, I've definitely had to learn to be alone, and yeah, just I guess as footballers you do have a lot of time in your hands, and especially when you are in Europe, you're most likely going to be in smaller cities. Can't always be in the big ones, you know. So that's kind of, you have to master that part of life, and just things that go on in your head, and being more purposeful with your time. So I think I've made the most of it, of learning how to do that.
Especially when you go to these new clubs and these new countries, you don't know many people. You don't know, don't even know, probably wouldn't know your teammates. So you're in a city, you don't have any friends. That's one of the toughest parts of being a footballer as well, isn't it?
For sure. I'd say, yeah. In that respect, I would say like Finland was, well, I was in Germany first, but then like Finland was where I first got a foothold on life and getting kind of settled in a place. And I definitely feel like the Finnish, they are quite welcoming, and yeah, once you do break the barriers, then they welcome you in, and you can kind of, I guess they just want to see how much you care, you know, and then they're like, okay, he's a good guy, so, you know, we'll invite him to things. Invite him over for dinner.
Oh, so there was a time where they'd just sort of like leave you to one side and be like, we're doing a team thing. Let's not invite that Boxall character.
Possibly.
They wouldn't tell you if that was the case.
No, exactly.
They are very quiet, very reserved people, but one thing they're extremely proud of, having spent some time there, they are so proud of their sauna.
Yes.
Finland is the home of sauna. They invented it.
Oh,
So,
thank you, Finland. Oh,
well,
I love that sauna.
when I went there, they were all just talking about their sauna, and they had one in every house, and I was thinking, what's the
Every
big...
house?
Just about. Every apartment block. I was thinking, what's the big deal?
Seriously?
Yeah.
But when you have one, you're like, actually, this is amazing. It is a big deal. How did you find it?
Yeah, definitely. Like everyone, like usually after trainings, you know, they turn it on, jump in, and then also they have like the team evenings during pre-season are usually around a sauna evening, and there'll be like, yeah, obviously few beverages consumed.
How big are these damn saunas?
Oh, there are some fancy ones.
Yeah?
Yeah. You're fitting like the whole team.
Do you have a fancy one in your apartment?
It's pretty nice. Yeah. So like, yeah, it's, I don't know, you just, and it's, especially with how cold it gets in the winter, it's like, yeah, nothing better than warming up and in the evening, just, you know, relaxing, and yeah.
Do you ever worry about dehydration? Like, is there a process you go through? You're entering the sauna, you obviously need to keep your fluids up. Are you taking in, I don't know, a litre, a 1.5 bottle? What's going on here? What goes through your mind?
Just drinking as much as I can, really.
Okay.
Definitely not doing it the night before a game or anything like that. But yeah, it's certainly a nice way to relax, and also after like the first, early in the week when you do the hard sessions and your body's just like aching. It's nice to get the fluids and everything moving through the body. So yeah.
Other than the sauna, what has attracted you to Finland? Because as you say, this is your third club that you're at with SJK. What's the magnetic force that attracts you there?
I guess at each club I've felt very comfortable in the way that I've been able to work at my weaknesses, and there is a good setup in these clubs. Yeah, I would say it's mainly that fact that the clubs in Finland are well set up. They support you, and there's freedom to work when you want to, and focus on just improving.
Okay. And geographically, you're with your new club. Is it in the same area or a different area to the other teams that you've played for?
The one I'm at now, SJK, is 45 minutes from my first club. I was there. They're actually rivals.
Ooh.
So yeah, not exactly.
That's not the done thing, is it?
It's definitely frowned upon. Luckily, there's no laws against it. But so those two ones are close, and then my other club, Kups, they on the other side, kind of eastern Finland.
What do you prefer?
They all have their pros and cons. In eastern Finland, there was so many lakes around, so like it was beautiful both in the summer and the winter. But then, where I am at now, the club is top in terms of facilities and being able to train and really improve. So I can't argue with that.
Just a thought, Nikko, I remember when I first started covering football about 15 years ago, and you could count the number of Kiwis in Europe on probably two hands. And these days there's so many you need a bloody abacus or something. You know, there are that many Kiwis in Europe. What's that like? Does it help having so many compatriots scattered around Europe? And how do you guys all keep in touch, and do you occasionally get to see each other and that sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's great now with the amount of players we have over there. I definitely keep in touch with a few. Like Ryan Thomas, for example, always shoot him a couple messages every now and then. Marco, when he was over there in Denmark as well, we actually caught up a couple times for some meals, so that was nice to see him. But also just want to say, like, it's great that with having Marco, what's his last name? The young kid at Copenhagen.
Oh, the new guy, yeah.
That is like unreal move. 'Cause, like, I don't think New Zealanders really know just how big of a club that is, you know. So it's like that's a huge move. So like, I think just this day and age now, it's more prominent that there are Kiwis over there, definitely helps. And obviously I don't know a lot of them personally, but you know, as soon as I do come across one, that you're always open to reaching out and helping, and I think it's only upwards from here for Kiwis.
Yeah. So how many Kiwis are in the Finnish competition? Or are you the only one?
I might be the only one at the moment.
It's a pretty special
There hasn't
thing.
been many. I remember Noah Hickey going there years ago.
Okay, I didn't know
Yeah, I
that.
think he was the first, and then since then there's been 3 or 4. So it's one of the more unusual places to go, isn't it?
It is.
But it sounds from what you're saying that makes it even more rewarding in a way.
Yeah, in a way, yeah, for sure. I would say, at least from the effort that I've put in, they're definitely open to having more New Zealanders for sure. And I can understand it's not people's first choice, but it is a foot in the door, you know. And there are good clubs the way that most of them are set up. Like if a Kiwi can get over there and just start working, that's kind of all you need, and then anything can happen from there. Because there's still kids that go from that league to some pretty great clubs around Europe.
So what would your advice be to any young New Zealand footballer? Would you strongly recommend that if the English Premier League or Serie A is unavailable to them, would you recommend Finnish football?
For sure, without a doubt. Like, I think the toughest part would be just being so far away from home and life. But I mean, if football is something that you really want to do, then by all means. I mean, it's like I said, it's a place where you can go work and just improve and focus on the football, and then life is pretty chill otherwise. So.
Oh, literally and figuratively. 'Cause
Exactly.
It's pretty cold over there. And
is.
that actually dictates the structure of the season, doesn't it?
It
Because
does.
while other European leagues are ongoing at this present time, the Finnish competition, it's more of a sort of spring-summer league. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it runs over the summer. Our season will start sort of mid to end of March, although we have like Finnish Cup games starting next month, early next month. But yeah, usually about March, and then usually ends October. So yeah, playing over the summer, getting a nice t-shirt tan and tan lines, and the sock tan. That's cool.
I think you've done enough groundwork, mate. Yeah.
It'll be a sensation when you go back to Finland with that tan. Can you imagine the popularity? But could I just ask about the language? Because it seems to be just about the most complicated language in the world. I know that J.R. Tolkien, when he wrote Lord of the Rings, he based the Elvish language, if you remember that one, on Finnish.
Is that right?
So it's a pretty crazy language. How have you got by with that? Because it's such a big thing about being in the country, is trying to learn and understand and get through training and everything.
No, so when I first went to Finland, I didn't really know anything about the country, and I just was on the phone to my agent. I think the day I was flying, I was like, "What about the language? Like, how am I going to survive?"
Oh, you're in for a real treat, he said.
No, but so like they learn both Finnish and sometimes Swedish, and then English just growing up throughout school. So pretty much everybody is fluent in English because of the fact that it doesn't really have ties to many other languages, and it's very tough to learn. But in the clubs, at least, the coaches have spoke in English the whole time, so it's sometimes they'll take it in both Finnish and English, but yeah, for the most part it's just been English, so it certainly helps being able to understand.
And you've obviously spent, 3 years in Denmark. You can speak Danish almost fluently?
Yeah, when I left there, I would say I was pretty close to fluent.
A lot easier to learn?
A lot easier. The structure is a lot more similar to English, whereas Finnish is, I don't even know how they form sentences. So, but I'm going to learn this year when I go back.
Right.
It's going to take some night classes just for the fun of it and see how I go.
As a 28-year-old, am I right?
Yeah.
28-year-old. You've been over there for a number of years. It's not the EPL, as I say, but for those youngsters trying to forge a professional career, is it lucrative enough? Like playing football in Finland and Denmark, you're able to put food on the table and then some? You're well looked after financially?
I'd say, yeah, at least in the last few years, definitely able to eat and save. And even when I first started there, I was able to save, and it's obviously, it's not going to make you a millionaire, but I'm comfortable and always still working towards something bigger, that chance.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much in football, so.
What is the thing that you're working towards? You've still got plenty of years left. Where do you want to go?
I like to think I have quite a long career ahead of me, but it's hard to say. I'm not going to set myself a club or league and wake up disappointed one day or anything like that. But at this point, I guess just the focus for me is just waking up every day and working hard and keep on improving. As long as my standards are high, I think it'll get appreciated at some point. So.
Yeah. Well, it's great to hear that you've got that work ethic, because some people, some sports people, they don't have that, do they, Burge? Like they just get by on God-given talent, if you want to use that phrase, and they're not willing to put in the hard yards.
Yeah, and that can be the difference. And I think Nikko will tell us that in Europe, it's so competitive, you almost got to have that, don't you? I mean, the amount of kids in Europe that want to be professional footballers, and then all the kids in Africa, South America, Asia, that want to go there, it just must be incredibly cutthroat the whole time almost.
For sure. I just see it now, especially with the way that Finland, the national team, they made their Euros, and you can just already see the impact that's having on the younger kids. And we have some kids in our league that they're 16, 17, 18, I'm looking at them, I'm like, it's a little bit scary. Got to work harder, you know, with some of the stuff that they can do. But I mean, yeah.
What, like how fast they are, how technically gifted they
It's
are?
usually the technicality of their play. Yeah.
He wouldn't be worried about the pace, remember? He's faster than,
He's faster than Michael Boxall.
Michael Boxall, come on.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the pace.
It's got everybody in the league covered. Speaking of Michael, he's 4 years older than you.
Yeah.
I suppose he would have been a great help to you growing up. You know, the pitfalls, the highs and lows of being a professional footballer. How often do you lean on your brother?
Probably less than you think.
Oh, okay.
No, it's like he's always been my role model kind of growing up. Like it was him kind of paving the pathway. Obviously there were other Kiwis that have gone to the US for scholarships for college before, but I guess him doing that kind of was like, oh yeah, I think that's something I could do. And so like I didn't start taking football more seriously until I was about 16, 17.
Is that right?
I kind of just, I danced and played other sports and just kind of enjoyed things. But yeah, once he kind of paved the way, then I was like, yeah, okay, that's something I could do. So let's give it a go. And then kind of along the way, I mean, with anything, there's been the ups and downs and times where I've doubted myself, other times where I've thought I could be the best in the world, you know? So it's like, that kind of, it comes and goes, but yeah, it's definitely nice having him there, and he's not the most talkative or sharing person, but no.
I'm not saying anything.
But it's like, we've definitely, I feel like the times where we've been home together and training, that's where we've grown closer, and then we start to share. So yeah, but for the most part, I feel like it's been the way my parents raised me. That's kind of helped me through the tougher times. Yeah.
Was there any pressure being brother of Michael? Was there any additional pressure? Everyone knew him and you were trying to make your own way?
Yeah, maybe if I thought about it too much. I remember the biggest pressure for me was probably back in high school, actually, when he was head boy. I was just my first year at Mount Albert. And then I had a great first year. It was just myself, I would say. And then I remember somebody told me that the headmaster said to my brother, like, yeah, your brother will probably be head boy someday as well. And from then I was just like, that put pressure on me. I was like, there was expectations, and I heard that, and I was just like, and then I actually hated high school.
Because of that expectation?
I think because of that, yeah. Right. So kind of throughout life I've learnt to kind of just let go of all that other stuff and just be myself.
How often do you, over your life, how often have you had the opportunity to play alongside your brother? Because you're both defenders. Now, did you play together at any point?
Never.
Not at all?
Never. I mean, the first chance really was my first camp with All Whites in Spain when we played Canada. But to be honest, I had a pretty terrible week in training. Well, if you could call it that, what we did. But I mean, yeah, I think I was set up to be starting next to him, and yeah, kind of mentally just overthought things, and
because of that, like playing alongside
maybe
him,
just
or?
the excitement, and you know, just
Right.
wanting to show too much instead of just kind of relaxing into it, and as a defender just keeping it simple. So yeah, I still waiting on that chance to play together.
When do you think it's going to come? This year?
I'm hoping.
Yeah, qualifying for a World Cup in
Why not?
2022.
Yeah.
Do you talk about it with your brother? The possibilities of you guys playing alongside each other and qualifying the All Whites for another World Cup?
A little bit. Not too much, but it's definitely in the back of the mind, and yeah.
It would be pretty cool because, like, you know, rugby league, we've had brothers playing at that highest representative level. You just got to look at the Whitelocks, the Barretts, and rugby union. You know, it could be a thing.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
It will make it extra special. There've been so many sporting brothers and other codes. But I just want to ask as well, what is the best thing about being a pro footballer? What do you enjoy the most? Because you've been doing this a long time now.
I would say the opportunities that the sport gives you, the places it takes you, the people you meet just from many different walks of life. Yeah, I'd say I have friends in every corner of the world, and that's pretty cool. And then just the life lessons it kind of gives you along the way. Yeah, it's certainly helped me grow up and learn about life. So in that way, it's pretty cool. And then, yeah, well, I haven't been as lucky as my brother, but you certainly do play with some other special players that kind of open your eyes to like the beauty of the game. And, yeah.
Nice. Well said. Just before we let you go, myself and the Burge, Khalifa over here, we were talking earlier about... you don't like that nickname?
I love it. It's quite unique. How could you not like
I think
that?
I'm the only person who calls him that. But anyway, we were talking earlier about Alex Rufer and the red card that he received playing against Macarthur FC.
Yeah.
Did you see it?
I haven't.
You haven't seen it, so you don't know. You couldn't tell us one way or another. Okay, all right. Well, I'm not going to go there.
Apologies.
Well, actually, no. Just tell us. It wasn't worthy of a red card. Just say it.
It wasn't worthy of a red card.
Good boy.
You disagree? Or?
Oh, it must be frustrating though, the whole VAR thing in those situations. It was, yeah, it was a bit like the David Beckham, Diego Simeone famous one in 1998. It's a long time ago. Sorry.
Without the lash out, Burge.
Where Beckham got the red card, and it was all a bit, but it was even less than that. So, but just the fact that VAR gets involved, I just think it must be so frustrating for players. But from what I've seen, the players are kind of they just are starting to accept it. They're just like, oh well, it's the sport now. We've got these bloody boffins in the bunker going through every angle, and it's the way it is.
Trying to find a reason to give somebody a red card.
All those offsides we see. Things, it's just
offsides.
it's just
It is ridiculous.
Drawing lines on a field and lines down from someone's nipple to prove that they were offside.
You've just seen a wonderful goal. You know, it's just it is. I just hope they find a compromise, and that's what you got to you got to expect.
All right. So what happens next for you, mate? You're obviously in New Zealand for another week, and then you're on the bird back to Europe. Are you expecting to have any kind of lockdown or anything like that when you get there?
I think the normal is 5 days of quarantine, test on arrival, 5 days in quarantine. So I'm expecting that, and then it'll be straight into training and playing February 6th. So back into it. Can't wait. We wish you all the best, Nikko Boxall. Thanks so much for joining us on the Kiwi Football Fix. We really do appreciate your time, mate. And go well. Appreciate being here. So thank you. Absolutely wonderful to have a chat with Nikko Boxall here on the Kiwi Football Fix. Heading back to Europe shortly, Burge, where COVID-19 is still out of control. This new UK strain, it's finding its way through not only society but English Premier League teams. How are they going to get that under control? And the issue is we're in winter over there, and that's the worst time for the virus as well. So I'm not sure. I mean, they're putting everything into it. I saw the Burnley manager, Chris Wood's manager, the other day saying that vaccinations should be prioritised for football players, which caused a bit of a stir. But he was meaning that hey, if that's done, then we can sort out the rest of everything later. So there are a few issues, but it's such a complex problem. How do you sort it out? I mean, do you have a threshold of, okay, if a certain amount of your squad are infected, then you get to postpone your game? How do we saw what happened to Aston Villa against Liverpool the other day. I mean, that was fantastic for Liverpool fans. I mean, geez, a 4-1 win, I'll take that in the FA Cup. But it's unfair for Villa. They put out a bunch of kids. But then again, you can't just postpone every game. The Premier League is a massive global machine. I think they're just going to play on. They're just going to keep going. And they'll just say, okay, you've got to find some more players. And with the country in lockdown, doing nothing, twiddling their thumbs, I suppose they need to watch something on TV, right? Well, we're coming up to, I think, a year of, in a couple of months it'll be a year, of EPL games without crowds. Yeah. And that was something we could never imagine because the crowds are such a big thing in EPL and in Europe, of course. And now we're kind of getting used to it. I mean, you know, it's just something you really want those full capacities back, but I don't know when it's going to happen. No. All right, well, we'll leave that to the paymasters of the English Premier League, shall we? We'll put that to one side. To finish today on the Kiwi Football Fix, let's talk local football, the ISPS Handa Men's Premiership. We're at the halfway stage. Auckland City FC sit top, but you could pretty much throw a doily or a handkerchief over the top of that top four. It's tight. What have you made of the first half of the competition? It's a very open competition, the most we've seen in years in terms of how close the teams are. I like what Team Wellington are doing. They're still the only unbeaten team. Auckland City
They stumbled a bit in the first half of the premiership, but you can see them starting to come right now. But the issue for them, I feel, is that if they go to the FIFA Club World Cup, which I understand is going to be confirmed or otherwise in the next few days, they'll have such a fixture logjam to get around that. So that could be really tough for them. I love what Hamilton are doing. I don't know if Hamilton are good enough to win the whole thing, but boy, oh boy, they are playing some great football. And then Eastern Suburbs are still, they'd be the other team in the mix for me in terms of who could win the whole thing.
Have you got a game to watch over the weekend, week 8 of the competition? I'm looking at something like Auckland City FC against Hamilton Wanderers, 1 versus 3 on the ladder. Is that yours?
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one. That's going to be a big one. As I say, Auckland City coming back into it. But Hamilton, they're such a dangerous team. They just can score goals from anywhere. They're really impressive on the counter-attack, and they are a team to watch. When you consider where they've come from, a couple of years ago they were sort of always bobbling around near the bottom, and they're a team on the rise.
Burge, great to see you, as always. Thanks for kick-starting the Kiwi Football Fix year with me and saying such nice things about my shirt as well. Really appreciate that.
I'd love to see that shirt again. Will we see it again? That's the thing.
I don't know. It could be one and done, but we shall see. Thanks again, Burge. Really appreciate it. And thanks to you for watching and or listening. We will be back next time on the Kiwi Football Fix. Probably, same time next week. Until then, catch you later.